Ow.
Now I'm going to close Chrome, and hopefully Kick will stay. Yep, it stayed. Yay. Even though I don't know if we're getting any viewership over there. Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor, Gary's Wholesale Sausage Emporium. Are retail hot dog prices making you crazy? Come on down to Gary's for all your discount dog needs. Was this really the best we could do?
Blue Apron passed.
Okay. Let's get vulnerable, Langley. Let's get sexy. First caller gets 11 feet of Gary's signature summer sausage.
Yum.
If you say so.
That's fake.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
So basically, we're going to be talking about a great movie that got screwed over by mismanagement and removal of funding. Because what Bob Iger did is not dissimilar to what Alan Ladd did to other films in order to pay for Star Wars. Money that was going to go to the making of one film that they were prepared to get paid for, which we've covered that film. I forget the title right now, but we've covered the film here on Pop Culture Minefield. That money that was allocated for finishing that movie was taken by Alan Ladd and given to George Lucas to complete Star Wars. And it was Damnation Alley. And Bob Iger, once again, this is over Star Wars. And if you guys remember, a lot of the promotion for this film was the story that inspired George Lucas's Star Wars was put in the ads. That was there for a reason too, because Bob Iger was eyeballing Star Wars. He wanted Star Wars. And it was known, because Keith and I have talked about this. I'm sad that Keith's not here. He's not answering his phone, so I'm hoping he's okay. But this is...
I'm still hoping he shows up eventually.
This is a film that Keith and I talked a lot about. I mean, I know any of you followed this for a while. We have talked about this movie. And how Disney fucked John Carter. Specifically Bob Iger, because the marketing money that was supposed to go into this, and if you look online, look for why did John Carter of Mars tank at the theater, and it'll say, little AI capture will point out that there was mismanagement, there was a new guy, blah 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 blah. No. That is only a microcosm problem. The main problem was the funding, because they did some early marketing, and then as the film was released, that marketing died. And basically, word of mouth wasn't enough to save this movie. And
they had great trailers for this.
Yeah. Great music being involved. They had Led Zepp in one album. They used the song Kashmir. And they used Peter Gabriel's version of My Body is a Cage for one trailer. Great music, great trailers, very exciting, really got you into it. And then it died. And the reason why is because all the marketing funds went to buy George Lucas's Star Wars.
And it's so stupid. I mean, after watching that documentary about how they made it, you put so much work into it, so much money, and then you just...
For nothing.
Nothing for the marketing. It's stupid.
And there should have been at least a trilogy from this.
That was the plan.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that John Carter wasn't always part of the Mars story. The Mars story, he started, I think, in 1911. And he started writing, and I love some of his comments about that. Let me just read some of the stuff I jotted down here. So Burroughs was of English and Dutch ancestry, with a family line that went all the way back to the 17th century. His family came over, the one part of his family, the Rice family, were English Puritans that moved to Massachusetts Bay Colony in early 17th century. He once remarked, quote, "I can trace my ancestry back to Deacon Edmund Rice," end quote. The Burroughs side of the family was also of English origin, having immigrated to Massachusetts around the same time. Many of his ancestors fought in the American Revolutionary War. Some of his ancestors settled in Virginia, my hometown, or home state, during the colonial period. And Burroughs often emphasized his connection with that side of his family, seeing it as very romantic. Now, when I say romantic, I don't mean Hollywood romantic. I'm talking about the true sense of the word, that there's no greater sacrifice than to lay your life down for the soldier next to you. That's a romantic notion, self-sacrifice. And he was very much like that. Now, I've heard people call him warlike, and I'm like, that's not what he was like. He was a warrior. There's no question. And he tried to be a warrior. Burroughs was educated at a number of schools there in Massachusetts, starting with Phillips Academy in Andover, Maryland. And I've been to Andover. It's a nice area. I've been to where he grew up. There was a little pilgrimage I did as a kid because I was a big Edgar Rice Burroughs. And the thing that shocked me was learning, just like with Edgar Allan Poe, these guys were fucking American. I just assumed they were English, mostly because of Tarzan, because that's what got me started on Edgar Rice Burroughs, was reading Tarzan. And I was like, he's American? The same thing with Edgar Allan Poe. But anyway, so he attended the schools there in Andover. And then he went to the Michigan Military Academy, and he graduated from there in 1895. And he wanted to continue to serve the U.S. military by attending West Point. But he failed the entrance exam. So instead, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, and he served in the 7th U.S. Cavalry at Fort Grant, the Arizona Territory, which is why that's so important in the movie. That's not about John Carter. That's about Edgar Rice Burroughs. Anyway, while he was there, he was diagnosed with a heart condition, and he was thus ineligible to continue service. So he was discharged in 97. So he got to serve 2 years in the military. After his discharge, Burroughs worked at a number of different jobs during the Chicago influenza epidemic of 1891. He spent half of the year at his brother's ranch in the Raft River in Idaho, and he worked as a cowboy, a ranch hand. He drifted afterward, then worked at his father's Chicago battery factory in 1899, the year my grandmother was born. And he married his childhood sweetheart, Emma Hulbert. So just so you know, his name is a combination of his two families, his maternal last name and his father's last name. So that's why he's Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's hyphenated. So anyway, and he continued working there and married his sweetheart around that time. And then in 1903, Burroughs joined his brothers, Yale graduates, George and Harry, who were by then prominent Pocatello area ranchers. I don't know where that is. It's somewhere in Idaho. And partners in the Sweetser Burroughs Mining Company, where he took on managing their ill-fated Snake River gold dredge, a classic bucket line dredge. The Burroughs brothers were also the sixth cousins once removed of famed miner Kate Rice, who in 1914 became the first female prospector in the Canadian North. Journalist and publisher C. Allen Thorndike Rice was also his third cousin. When the new mine proved unsuccessful, the brothers secured for Burroughs a position with the Oregon Short Line Railroad in Salt Lake City, Utah. Burroughs resigned from the railroad in 1904, so he wasn't there for very long. But anyway, I just think that's kind of funny. He kind of moved around a lot, job to job. By 1911, around age 36, after 7 years of low wages as a pencil sharpener wholesaler, he sold them, like he went around to schools and churches, etc., sold pencil sharpeners. Burroughs began to write fiction. And by this time, Emma and he had 2 children, Joan and Hulbert. During this period, he had copious spare time and began reading Pulp Fiction magazine. And in 1929, he recalled thinking, quote, if people were paid for writing rot such as I read in some of those magazines, that I could write stories just as rotten. As a matter of fact, although I had never written a story, I knew absolutely I could write stories just as entertaining and probably a whole lot more so than any chance to read in those magazines, end quote. So in 1913, Burroughs and Emma had their third and last child, John Coleman Burroughs, later known for his illustrations and his father's books. So when you look at a lot of those early illustrations from the books, they were drawn by his son. In the 1920s, Burroughs became a pilot, purchased a security Airster S1, and encouraged his family to all learn how to fly. Daughter Joan married Tarzan film actor James Pierce. She starred with her husband as the voice of Jane during 1932 to 1934 for the Tarzan radio series. That's really fucking cool shit here. Burroughs divorced Emma, though, in 1934, and in 1935 married the former actress Florence Gilbert Deerholt, who was the former wife of his friend, who was then himself remarrying Ashton Deerholt, with whom he had co-founded Burroughs Tarzan Enterprises while filming The New Adventures of Tarzan. Burroughs adopted the Deerholts' 2 children, and he and Florence then divorced in 1942. Kind of went through women the way he went through jobs. Burroughs was in his late 60s and was in Honolulu at the time of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Despite his age, he immediately applied for and received permission to become a war correspondent, becoming one of the oldest U.S. war correspondents during World War II. This period of his life is mentioned in William Brinkley's best-selling novel, Don't Go Near the Water. After the war ended, Burroughs moved back to Encino, California, where after many health problems, he finally died of a heart attack on March 19, 1950, having written 80 novels, and he is buried in Tarzana, California. At the time of his death, he was believed to have been the writer who had made the most from films, earning over $2 million in royalties from the 27 Tarzan movies that were made. That was up to his death. The Science Fiction Hall of Fame finally inducted Burroughs in 2003, long after he had passed away. So there you go. And just so you know, he began writing the Mars books all the way back in 1911 to 1913. Hey, Chris.
Hey,
Hi, Chris.
I'm sorry, I was reading, so I didn't see who popped in.
I was enjoying your reading. I am a big Burroughs fan, and there was some things in there that I didn't know, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, he was such an inspiration to me as a kid. I used to sit. It was my introduction to Frazetta's art. Wasn't from Conan. It's from Edgar Rice Burroughs, because I was reading that when I was in the 4th grade, and I'm like, I love those covers, man. The ones that Frazetta. I loved all the covers anyway, but I love Frazetta's artwork. And Edgar Rice Burroughs is the key that unlocked the door of my interest in reading science fiction and fantasy. And I didn't delve too deeply into fantasy, but Tarzan to me is fantastical. It's fantasy. So I consider that part of that. And then you have science fiction fantasy, like what he wrote with the Mars books, which were great. And he was fascinated with Mars. He had a telescope and he would look up there, and he could see what they believed were the canals.
Mm-hmm.
And so that led to a lot of things within his books about them traveling by water on Mars.
Well, that's the thing is we owe him so much. I mean, I think there's H.G. Wells and there's Edgar Rice Burroughs as far as the people who kind of laid the foundation for this, all the science fiction that we love. I mean, and I'm like you.
He inspired Dune, because I tell people there are even names used in this book that when you hear are eerily similar to names that Herbert would use later, like for Paul Atreides. What was he referred to by the Fremen?
Muad'Dib?
The Quasek Cataract.
Oh,
no. Quetzalcoatl was the name
Sounds fairly similar to the name that the Martians call him.
Dr. Soya to Quetzalcoatl? No.
Fuck off. There is a connection to it, a verbal connection to it.
Well, the big connection that I made was James Cameron took a lot from Edgar Rice Burroughs, from atmosphere processors to John Connor and John Carter.
Absolutely. It's like that movie is basically if you mix the Smurfs with John Carter.
No, I'm talking about the well, yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm talking about
Aliens. Yeah, Aliens.
Oh, for Aliens.
They had the atmosphere processor in that, but same as you, I love the Princess of Mars series of books.
Which was his first book, yeah.
And I read Tarzan as well, but it was the Barsoom stuff that really grabbed me, and that was long before I ever read anything Conan.
And John Carter, as I recall, didn't get involved with the story until much later. It was like 1940 was the first John Carter novel, right?
Princess of Mars starts with John Carter. Unless
is John in there? Okay,
yeah.
Then I misunderstood my research, because according to the research, John Carter didn't begin until 40. But I still love it, and I love that John Carter is sort of his quasi attempt at romancing the stone, putting himself within the story, because he was a warrior, and he was a failed warrior, but not because of his fault, but because he was born with heart issues. And so he only got to finish 2 years in the military. And it was something he wanted to do. He loved. He served in the 7th Cavalry.
Well, just a lot about that.
His uncle does in the book. I mean, in the movie.
I mean, if I remember the book correctly, and it's been, the last time I revisited the Mars Chronicle, I almost said the Martian Chronicles, but there's another person that was inspired.
That's another great
yeah.
sci-fi writer that isn't really very good at the science, but is great at writing the fiction.
Well, they admittedly, I mean, to their own admission, they didn't care so much about the science. They wanted to write adventure and prose.
About characters. This is about characters.
Hi, Anima. there's a
Anima loved this movie, by the way. She
guys,
really
loved it.
I
have to interrupt you. We have Christian Delorme has been a member for
Chris.
31 months.
Outstanding. Thank you. You're almost caught up with Kyle, who's 43 months.
Okay. And
never
for
catch
you,
up.
Christian, seeing that we were talking about Dune, and I think this video applies to you.
It is the legend.
All right. I know what he's asking, Anima. Oh, wait. Okay.
We have another video.
Nope. Is it for him?
No.
Yeah.
For him. No, if it's not for him, let me respond to
it. Go.
Christian, I know what he's asking.
No, this one.
Go back. Go back. He's asking.
This is part 2 of his message as a super chat. He's asking.
I'm just letting you know. He's asking about Sunday. I guarantee you, he's asking about Sunday.
I know.
And
I
he
know
knows
that's
that
the super
Sunday
chat.
night is date night. I am Anima's property until she decides. And let me tell you, if I go, okay, do you want to in the evening? If I have any interest in doing anything outside of loving her, she will force herself to stay awake to make me stay there. I'm just telling you guys, Sunday, she wants me off limits to everybody.
It's the only day I get during the week. And even then, I share you with your
work. I will dominate you. I own you. You are my bitch. That's Anima on Sunday.
Completely reasonable.
I'm sharing you with your work all the time.
This is
one
the
day where I
second
don't
part.
share you with people.
And that
As soon as
requires
she gets the visa, Gambit, I will marry her, and she will marry me. So on Sunday night, movie night. So if it's after 6 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S., possibly. There are no guarantees, because if she gets wind of you wanting to spend time with me, Chris, to talk about movies, she will stay up late just to not let me go.
It depends on what we're doing. Sometimes we're just on a roll and all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. So
Whew.
okay. Chris, thank you for your $2.
Thank you,
and
Chris.
That makes you the winner of this one.
What movie?
I've got 5 terrorists going southeast on Bakalakadaka Street.
What movie are you wanting to do anyway, so I can make sure at least I watch it just in case. I might have to, if I get to join you, I'll join you late. Why, again, I want to respond to this. Why don't I marry? I wanted to marry her when she
it's work in progress.
Now she regrets having not married me when she was here.
Well, the thing is, we would be married, but nothing would move any faster than it does right now.
I think it would. And that is where I would get my state representative involved.
Dude, we have another super chat from Chris. Oh my God. Thank you, Christian. Says, so basically, don't let Anima know that he's streaming. He's asking you to lie to her.
Yeah, there you go. She has no clue. I won't tell her.
Yeah, she will never know.
She'll never know.
Je sais tout.
Okay.
Oh, music night, not movie, music. Yeah, I was about to say, because that's what you like to do on Sundays, is talk about music. Grand Funk Railroad is somebody that I know some of the music of, but that's more, I'm going to bet that's probably more in Brian's territory.
Okay.
But I do love Grand Funk Railroad. Really good fucking band.
Chris, for that super chat, I
am just as much a fanboy of Chris, because I love Christian. I love him and his wife. Great fucking people. I wish I knew his kid, because I've drawn his kid. I've seen photos of his kid, but I've never got to. Yeah, rest in peace, Sly Stone. That's right. Sly and the Family Stone.
For a second, I thought it said Sly Stallone. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, right.
Okay, for Chris and the Lord, here you have your third video.
What? You didn't really think we'd kill the fucking koala bear now, did you?
Now, that's the movie I've got to get her to watch with me. I don't think she'll like it, but I don't care. It's a must-see, because I'd love to talk about it sometime.
God, I have to look on his channel.
And finally, we have somebody in our midst.
Hey, Bush. What's up,
Hey,
buddy?
Bush.
I paused it here because this is a Disney film, and it's amazing.
We haven't started it yet.
Today and tomorrow, we're going to be talking about 2 Disney films. Today we're talking about John Carter, and I love that fucking movie. Anima loved that fucking movie. Chris, did you love that fucking movie?
I have only seen parts of this movie, so I am. I've yet to sit down and watch it fully.
Oh,
but
please
do. It was an ambitious project, because the guy wanted to do a trilogy and get that Edgar Rice Burroughs, the heart of what he was doing. Martin, I know you have to love this movie, right?
I know. Of course, I love it.
Oh, okay.
My whole household. Every time I want to rewatch it, I just have to say, let's see Virginia, and everybody runs to the hole, to the TV hole.
You know that because I'm such a big Burroughs fan, though, it's it's inspired Escape from Planet Omega 12 to the extent that I have a red woman in my movie. So, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the red Princess of Mars, but I know they can't. When it's Disney, they definitely can't have her book accurate.
Yeah, what they did is they put the red tattoos on her face.
They all
which were, by the way,
painted.
You couldn't see them clearly in the movie, but they went into detail, and that is stuff right out of the book, The Martian Writing, and they put that on her face. By the way, Christian Delorme with another $5 Canadian. My daughter just graduated high school and she's joining the army, like her big brother and grandfather. Outstanding, dude.
Great.
I know you're proud, buddy. I know you're proud. Thank you for the $5 for that. Let me see what I can give you. Ooh, I like that one. No. Ooh. Okay, this one.
2 monkey hookers and a racist dwarf. I think I'm heading home.
Yeah? Think I'll come with you.
Hey, what's...
Back off, Shorty.
You don't know karate. Ah!
Don't say you didn't have a cover. Short arse.
I love that movie so much.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds like he says monkey hookers. But that's the thing with certain Irish and Scottish people. Because we're watching that show, Department Q, and the girl says Mankey, but it sounds like, the captain, the chief, says monkey, but she's saying Mankey. But I swear to God, it's like they don't know how to say the word Mankey.
They just pronounce the A
In
different to
Scotland
get
and
over
Ireland.
it.
It's monkey. Monkey. Well, how do you say monkey? Monkey. Well, how do you say Mankey? Monkey. Fuck you.
All in the context. To get back to this movie, when he began writing, he was terrified to have his name associated. Do we know when he started publishing under his own name?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't read up on that. That's maybe something before you ask the question you look up.
I'm trying.
Okay.
I thought one of you maybe knows. Because
It's just like
everything's so
one of those
so-
things where you should, before you ask the question, you should know the answer.
Fuck off.
I know karate, judo, aikido, and a bunch of other Japanese words. I had a friend that had a T-shirt like that. His name was Bean, and he had a T-shirt like that. And I remember looking over at him, going, "You know, you're going to get your ass beat over that, right?" And he goes, "What?" I said, "Oh, that's a cool shirt, but you were the wrong person to be wearing it," because he was like practically an albino. Like he had blonde, white, afro, white hair, real pale blue eyes, freckles, pale skin. And it's just like, you're just asking to get your ass beat by a bully. And I can't protect you when you're not in class with me, and he did. He got bullied really horribly. And I ended up defending him once during football because one of the football players, who was also a friend of mine, says, "Hey, Bean, why don't you come over here and suck my dick?" And I said, "Hey, gee, his name was GT Lewis, George Thomas Lewis. Yeah, George Thomas Lewis." And I said, "GT, I had no idea that was your sexual persuasion." He goes, "What? I didn't know you swung that way. Gay." He goes, "I'm not gay if some guy sucks my dick." I said, "If you can maintain an erection while a guy's doing that, you're gay." And he just went, "Fuck you." And he turned around and go back to what he was doing. And that's how I protected him with my humor. I protected a lot of my friends with my humor.
Yeah,
By the way, Mark Strong is great in this. What's that?
I just want to say thanks for D-Bud for posting my channel. There it is. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
He's an outstanding mod. His mod work for us is just incredible.
Yeah,
but he's great on so many channels.
Yeah, I've seen him around. I'm really happy for him that he's doing so much. It's really cool. And also, you guys, of course, have seen that I'm writing for Film Threat. So check that out because
they're okay.
I just did an article about sexy themes in movies, and I tied it into Princess of Mars because it wasn't just about like gratuitous sexiness. It was about what these
femininity.
Well, not only that, but it's part of the romance of these old pulp novels is that it's a different time. It's it's being a warrior. It's having the beautiful women, but it's not. Again, it's like these are what you're. It's shorthand for the romance of what you're fighting for. Conan and John Carter, both badass warriors. I mean, John Carter in the books, you know, he's literally standing on a pile of bodies of people he's killed, trying to defend.
And they
this
do
naked
show
red
that in the
princess.
film. They show that in the film.
Do
When he goes in for that attack. By the way, this is another thing I got to bring up here because we're venturing into the ability to jump long distances. Absolutely was an inspiration to Schuster and Siegel when they created Superman because he did not fly.
Yeah.
He leapt at single bounds, which is why that's in the saying. Fast as a speeding bullet, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that was absolutely inspired by John Carter. And the influences that Edgar Rice Burroughs had through his science fiction and adventure books absolutely impacted every major thing outside of Lord of the Rings and Narnia.
I think this is what was a problem with the marketing for this film was there was nothing to get. What?
Did you hear my explanation of with the market? This is something Keith and I have gone into long before, many times. Did you hear? They make it sound when you find it on, if you Google it, makes it sound like one person in the marketing department fucked it all up. That's not what happened. What happened was the money that was earmarked for the marketing for this film, once it hit theaters, was gone. Where did it go? You know where it went. It went into the money that purchased Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say about the marketing, though, aside from that, was when you saw the trailers, because I saw the trailer for John Carter, and my first thought was, this is a princess of Mars. Nobody knows who John Carter is. And the thought behind it was things like, oh, well, Mars, what is it? Mars needs moms. It just flopped. So they're like, Mars stuff isn't doing very well. And then a princess, guys aren't going to want to go see a princess. And there was no marketing that said, hey, this is one of the stories that started it all. And there was also nothing to really give people the idea of like.
There was early on, there was a promo saying for the story that inspired George Lucas's Star Wars was in one of the early trailers.
Yeah, but aside from that, even outside,
you know why that was there? It wasn't to promote the film. That was in there to get George Lucas's attention because Iger was already vying in 2012 to get Star Wars from George Lucas.
Yeah, well, all the context of what the story actually was kind of sapped out of any trailers I saw as well. The idea that this is a guy who is 3 times stronger than an average human because he's on lower gravity, so he's got an advantage over even the biggest beasts on this planet. And
he's even able to break chains. I was one of my favorite things in there is when he breaks the chains.
Yeah, he's swinging those rocks around. That's all in the book. I mean, when he first appears, because he's running from a tribe of Indians in the book, and he goes into the cave and he gets astral projected onto Mars. He wakes up naked, and he gets accosted by the I forget what the forearm guys are called at the moment, but it
starts with a name, doesn't it? The Mouths or something like that. I love those things.
It'll come to me, but they
never give the name of the species. They are known as the Green Martians, and the name that each tribe gets is derived from the place that they live. So they live in the ruins of this tribe. They live on the ruins of Thrak, and therefore they are called the Thraks.
Yeah. So I just want to let you guys know the young man in this film that's playing young Edgar Rice Burroughs is none other than Daryl Sabara from Spy Kids. He was the little brother. He was the little brother in Spy Kids. I thought that was kind of cool. Terrible actor. Because we were watching some of the deleted cut scenes, and like there was one in particular was just fantastic. Okay, and then there's the one with him, and it's like, yeah, this is terrible. He's a terrible actor in this scene. No, I'm glad they cut that because it's just bad acting.
See,
I think that they needed to have him less in the movie.
He's important to the books because in the books, every book starts with John Carter coming back and talking to his nephew, and giving him a new story. So that's like the excuse of how they get relayed. And then after a
how
while,
they become the book series.
Yeah. And then
all
after
his
a while,
job is to watch over his body to make sure these entities that are immortal don't kill his body, because if his body dies on Earth, he'll die on Mars.
Yeah. Are they in the movie, is everyone immortal? Because on Mars everyone's immortal. You only die by violence. There's no old
they're like
death.
lobsters. This is science, okay? I was reading this in a research book that says we don't even know how old they can get. We do believe biologically that lobsters could very well be immortal, because they only die. We only find them dying from violence where something ate them.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't die in nature. And I'm like, holy shit, fucking lobsters. Let's steal some DNA from them.
So how book accurate is this movie? Because from the clips I saw, it didn't seem very much.
No, it's what you've got here is an attempt, and because like if you watch the making of, which is a very good video, by the way, it's only 11 minutes long, but it really goes into a lot of detail, and they involved quite a few people, including what's his name, the Mandalorian creator.
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. And Favreau was initially involved with trying to make this, but with another studio, and just couldn't get anywhere. And the problem was they were having trouble, even with really good writers, they were having trouble how to turn this, because it's like a soap opera. It's not a 3-act stories, those books. They're not. So what the director did is he got a writer and he gave him a basic general idea of what he wanted to do. And he says, and then we encapsulate stuff from the books into the film, but we have to tell it in a specific way. We have to have acts to structure it with acts in order to make it work for audiences to enjoy it. They could not do it as a soap opera in a cinematic format. It just wouldn't work, which is what the books are written like.
I think, I mean, these days, it's something that if I could serialize, I would. I know that it's partially in the public domain, but partially not. So there's a lot of, because they did do, Sci-Fi Channel did their own version of it with, what was it? Not Tia Carrera. Was it Tracy Lords? Like they as the princess?
Oh, she did. Wasn't it called Princess of Mars?
Princess of Mars.
It was called Princess of Mars.
I have, and I'm going to tell you this, I proudly never fucking watched that movie. The only thing I want to see with Tracy Lords is either that one invasion film she did, the Stephen King Tommyknockers, or porn. Past that, I have no interest in Tracy Lords. For those of you who didn't know, she was a porn actress. She even illegally, she did porn before she was legally of age.
She was in Crybaby.
Went to prison.
John Waters' Crybaby, yeah.
Yes, she was. She was attempting to try to transition from adult entertainment to others, and he was the first one to do that. John Waters was the first one to help her. And then the next person to help her was Roger Corman.
I don't think I've ever seen anything with her in it. Because
you never seen Tommyknockers?
I hate that book so much.
No, the book is terrible. The miniseries was great.
Oh, I don't know, man. You're selling me on made-for-TV miniseries by Stephen King. I have not.
Oh, come on, Chris. You make me want to fucking smack you in the nards when you say shit like that.
You, again, obsessing with men's genitals. Just
I do that with all my friends. I do the little, hey, take a bow. Oh.
Yeah, between that and the Guns' floor play.
Oh, okay, yeah. They could continue on writing it. By the way, they did use Monument Valley for a lot of this up there in Utah. And I love that. that is made famous by John Ford in his westerns, and it is a place that because I went there as a child. I want to go back there as an adult, and Animal wants to go there too. So I'm like, yay, another pilgrimage that we get to take together because it is gorgeous. Mindell had taken the job in order to learn how to make a movie with many effect shots. He worked with more restraint than he had been used to. Normally, he kept the camera rolling even after. No, I got you. And by the way, Cranston is really good in this scene. He helps sell the comedy here.
Yeah.
Because the escalation here is what makes it funny. That every time John Carter reacts violently, they escalate their reaction to keeping him back, and none of it really works. He's going to fucking knock the shit out of somebody and get the fuck out of there because he wants to go and find his gold. And what people don't know is that cave is one of the teleport locations for this species. They act like gods on the planet, and they interfere politically with these cultures. And which is why he ends up staying, because he decides he wants to stay and defend the two species, those that live in helium and the four-armed creatures, which I forget the names of, if they ever did give it a name. Because they're fucking cool, dude. And this movie came out at the right time for doing that, because they did something akin to motion capture for the performances. So you had all Thomas Hayden Church, you had all the cast, including
Willem
Dafoe,
yeah,
all walking around with the shit on them, and walking around on fucking
stilts, yeah,
stilts. And it's just beautiful what they did.
I absolutely love Willem Dafoe. I mean, he's just, even in a bad movie, it's great to watch him.
Oh yeah, because I don't think I would have liked Boondock Saints as much if he hadn't been in it. I would have laughed at it, I would have enjoyed it, but I wouldn't have become a fan of it if not for his eccentric performance as that police detective.
My favorite performance of his is Bobby Peru in Wild at Heart, when he worked with David Lynch.
Yeah.
That was an amazing character. So he gets beamed up to Mars.
Star Trek like, exactly, because
not exactly.
There is
not really.
Stop. Don't interrupt. Allow me to elaborate, because I'm fucking aware of what you're getting ready to say. It is very similar to it in that you are taken apart, but your body is left, but you are absorbed physically and transferred, a clone of you, to Mars, which is similar to what they do in Star Trek, except for a piece of you is left behind. It is assimilated and broken apart and sent through space. And this is why Dr. McCoy doesn't like teleporting, because he realizes that it's actually killing you and then putting you back together again and reviving you as you appear on the other side. And this is very similar to that, except for a copy is made. Instead of just absorbing you and sending you, a part of you is left. And if that's why John Carter tells his nephew to protect him, because that is, if it dies, he dies on Mars.
Well, the thing is, the original that's left behind is unconscious until the copy returns. Yep. There's only one conscience. They do not clone that. They just clone the body.
Yeah, they can't clone the soul. Case, the soul.
That would be the principle that Cameron took unashamedly with the avatars. You have the real body, you have the copy body, and the mind is transferred. Well, in this case, in John Carter, the mind is sort of transferred, whereas in Avatar you are remote piloting a body,
but unconscious as well. Yeah. And this is they did a good job with these designs. There's so much artwork to go off of. I think it really it sticks to that pulp novel aesthetic, which, again, it might have been a tough sell for general audiences, because a lot of people these days don't understand that aesthetic, even though it's cool as hell.
I thought hell was hot.
So Bush is saying, I'm going to take my puns elsewhere. Did I miss some puns?
Maybe here.
Did I ever tell you that I had a niece that was her dad was really good at puns?
Dude.
So I got to name his daughter, and her name is Rapunzel.
Oh my god! Did you see a Bush picture?
It's Wolverine. I know.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea how much I fucking love Bush McFadden. He's such a fucking idiot, but he's a brilliant idiot. He's just
That's
really
the best
good
compliment you can get from Gary.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading about that Tetrarch. And by the way, I hope you're having a good weekend. It is Friday. The penthouse where Vanessa Williams appeared would be a collector's item, but the 15-year-old Lord's was the centerfold, so it's illegal to own.
Yeah.
I had that. So are you serious that was Tracy Lords in those photos with her? With Vanessa Williams?
Bum, bum, bum.
I didn't know that. And I had that magazine. Oh my God. I'm glad I lost that. That's illegal to own.
It was at this moment in which Gary felt dirty.
Crazy. Also, there's a scene where Thomas Hayden Church's character and Defoe's character lock tusks. And the sound that it makes is so fucking cool. And I believe that sound is the sound of giant elk when they lock horns or antlers.
So is this princess, what would you call haughty? Not haughty, but haughty, as in the books?
In the books. She is in real life a hottie. She is so fucking gorgeous. If you guys don't remember, she was in the X-Men Wolverine movie.
And is that the same actress?
She is the one that was with him.
Quicksilver.
But yeah, she's in the book. She's very, she's not easy to please. She's definitely royalty and expects to be treated like royalty, even when she's a hostage.
Oh my God, Bush. No.
What did he say this time?
I said almost a dozen jokes, thinking at least one would make you laugh, but no pun intended.
I understand there's a special place in hell for people that do nothing but use bad puns. So I wanted to say her name, and she is so beautiful. And her name is Lynn Collins. And she really is so beautiful. And she's one of those beautiful women that seems to not really be aware of how gorgeous she is. And she's really goofy in real life, just very silly, just always just playing around, goofing. And there's some of that. You can see a little bit of that in there, but I saw it in Logan too, or Wolverine. Another actor that has a bad reputation right there. He was the one that was fired from V. Oh my God, his name is James Purefoy. And he was in one of
Resident Evil,
Robert E. Howard's books, Solomon Kane, which I thought was a great little film, low budget, independent action.
I gotta get back to that. I started watching it and I was tired and I turned it off and I didn't go back to it. But kind of off to a slow start. Does it pick up?
It gets better throughout the film. What it is like, look, make sure you don't have something distracting that you need to do. Go in that when you know you have nothing better to do and watch the movie. I've talked to other people, and I'm like, I really enjoyed it. I own it. I have a copy of it. And Snort, you're always a bad bear, but you're a good bad bear. So
We
good
still
bad
love
bear.
you.
I was going to tell you also, Dominic West. Somebody brought this up earlier. That Dominic West is, and he is an actor I fucking loathe. I cannot stand his fucking face, and he just his mouth. It just fucking annoys me. But he's good sometimes as villains. And he was terrible as Jigsaw, but he's really good in this film. This is a good film for him. And that is Liam Neeson's best mate, however they say that in Northern Ireland. That is his best mate. They've been friends for, I think, 50 years. And they worked together on, what is that movie called? Excalibur. And that is where they met Helen Mirren. And I love that story. He told it on Graham Norton's show. He says, oh, yeah. He said, would you like to meet Helen Mirren? And Helen Mirren walked over in that costume. And both of them, under their breath, heard each other when they said it. They both said it at the same time. Fuck. And not many people know this. Liam Neeson and she lived together for years.
I did know that, actually. Yeah.
They were not boyfriend and girlfriend. They were, what do they call that when you live together? No, it starts with a C. It's not, it's constant. I forget the word, but it's like conjugal comes from it. So they are in a committed relationship, living together, like husband and wife. And I thought it was really cute because they were on together on Graham Norton, and it was adorable seeing the two of them. They were still flirting. They flirted. It was adorable. So anyway,
they just know each other really well, living together that long. Yeah, Liam Neeson. It's funny because I only really discovered him myself from when he was in the episode 1. I didn't really know anything about him, but then
I was a fan in the 80s, dude.
How did you manage that?
I don't know. He was in a lot of stuff that I saw, like Kroll. Watched that 100 times without realizing that was him.
Kroll, Excalibur. Kroll was his first. He did a Street Fighter film because he did that. He was a bare knuckle boxer in real life.
Never saw that.
It's a good film. It takes place in Ireland. He did several Irish films, but Carrion here is one of my favorite Irish actors, and he did a movie about ghosts with what's his name, Quinn, not Anthony, young actor. He was in The Prince of about the Irish mob. Anyway, Aidan Quinn was in it. Very good film. And Kieran, I'm just a huge fan of this guy. But I'm telling you, when he did the voice of against Superman, what's his name? That worked for False of Doom. The uncle. Anyway.
Wait, who
he
is
did the
Tulsa
voice
Doom?
in Justice League? No, he was the voice of the other character that worked for Tulsa Doom on Earth, and it was collecting the cubes.
What the fuck is
that? Was
Tulsa Doom is Conan?
Not Tulsa Doom. Fuck off, you guys! You're not helping me at all. Doom, the guy
what
that
movie
got
are we talking
with
about?
Superman.
I don't know.
Superman, Justice League, for the second time. Justice League. Is the movie I'm talking about. And he did the voice of the alien uncle that was on Earth collecting the cubes for what's his name, the main alien villain.
Right.
I'm in a dark side. Thank you, somebody in the audience. Read by Nature. Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
but the uncle is not dark side. The uncle
you guys
is
are like tits on a board. God.
The uncle is not dark side.
I didn't really pay much attention.
No,
to
I didn't
that
say
movie.
dark side. He's Wolf. What's his name? Wolf, whatever.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah,
Steppenwolf. So he's the uncle of Darkseid, and another character, and he's sent to Earth, and that is Ciarán Hine that does the voice. But when I first heard it, I thought it was Liam Neeson. As they've gotten older, they sound so much alike; it's ridiculous. And that's all that was about. That's all I was trying to get to on that. So Kieran is great as the father of the princess, the king. Good, just fucking help, Bush. Don't fucking give me lip, bitch. Fuck you, you goober.
It was never a band I listened to.
Yeah, Steppenwolf. Thulsa Doom is Conan, Gary. Get help. Shinatsky, I don't want you to eat a whole turd. I just want you to find the corn. And eat the corn from a turd.
Hey,
Fuck
Jen.
you, Shinatsky. Why aren't you on the show?
Yeah, come here, man.
It's probably working. I'm working right now.
It's
but
it is
slow,
Friday.
so
He is working. He's working till for another hour.
I have to keep an eye on my computer, but it's
Or
been slow.
two.
So I was able to drop in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I read that earlier. I'm glad you stopped by, man, because you got really strong cast here. Great performances in the film. The only weak actor in it is the young kid that plays Edgar Rice Burroughs. D-Bud. Corn. I remember because I'm medical. I came from a medical background, and I learned that you need to always, before you flush, take a look what came out of you to make sure it's healthy. And I have many a time gone, when did I eat corn? I don't. That was like a week ago.
come for a princess of Mars, stay for the corn.
I love the baby scene, by the way. The baby scene is one of my favorite moments because that is all John Carter is to them at this point, is a baby. He has to be bathed and put through the process just like the babies do. But
I'll learn to speak.
the one female gives him the elixir that allows him to understand language.
And to them, he's just as ugly as the other babies. They just call him he's a white special version, white worm. They are ugly.
I think it's not wheat. I thought it was barley. Edgar Barley Burroughs.
I couldn't find out anything about when he switched to publishing under his name. He founded a company under his name in 23. So I guess that's about when he switched and published under his name, but I couldn't find anything specific.
He wrote so prolifically because there's also the Venus books that, of course, is Tarzan. He was just cranking them out. And I'll tell you a funny story because I lived in California, not far from Tarzana, and I was driving Uber for a short while in 2018, and I gave a ride to this guy. I was talking to him. He turned out to be a DEA agent, and so we're just talking. And I was like, "Hey, like driving to Tarzana, like I'm a big Edgar Rice Burroughs fan." He's like, "Yeah, I've never read any of his stuff, but I'm going to see my parents, and they actually live in his old house." Like, oh, cool. So I actually dropped him off at Burroughs' old house.
All right. The answer to your question, Anima, is Tarzan. Was the first book where he used his real name. Started using his real name. And that was in 1912.
And if you've read those books, they're definitely unfilmable as they are now.
The Bassoon series was published in 1917, though, and under the name of A.C. McClurg of Chicago. So that's contradictory.
Oh, here it is. This is where she gives him the elixir. And before he passes out here, he hears English. We, the audience, hear what he hears.
The trip is so bad that he only realizes after he wakes up again because, yeah, that's not a fun drug to take, apparently.
Now, do you know if the name of Tarzana, because I read that he named it Tarzana when they bought the property. And I don't know if that's true or if the name Tarzan came from moving to Tarzana.
It's because he named it such.
Okay, I read that and I'm like, oh, that's interesting if true, that he named it Tarzana and it was inspired by Tarzan.
Yeah, because back then, I mean, it was all farmland. A lot of what California is now is is very recent, because even Hollywood was, a lot of dirt roads in the beginning. And it was essentially, Cecil DeMille, they were going to shoot in Arizona. And when they got there, I believe it was pouring with rain, the rare occasion that it does. And so they just decided to keep going on the train and see if they could stop someplace where they could shoot their movie. And from there, they stopped in Hollywood. And they were just like, yeah, this is great. And they sent a telegram back saying, we're going to shoot here. And then that's how it all started.
Well, that was it, because he and his brother, was his brother or brother-in-law that he partnered with to make Tarzan movies?
I can't remember, but there's a lot of that in where I lived. Like there's not far from my house, there's an area development called Lake Sherwood. That is where they used to shoot all the Robin Hood movies. And then they built houses there and a golf course. It's a very expensive rich people golf course as well. My brother used to caddy there. But that was named Lake Sherwood because of Tarzan.
Well, you've been to Tarzana too, because I've been there too as a kid.
Oh yeah, and well, I drive through there all the time. It's part of the valley when you're on your way to Los Angeles.
I think it's awesome how after the community grew around the range, the people wanted their community named Tarzana, and it got accepted. That's just beautiful.
We have Ariel Ballet.
Hi, Ariel.
Oh, Ariel, hi. By the way, I will give you your punishment right now with your name. I am so bushed of your puns.
It's not even how that word works.
Oh my
Doesn't matter.
God.
I'm tired. Bushed. Where did you get that?
I love it.
Why is that?
Absolutely needed on this channel.
Anybody could download it and add it to ours too. We have the ability to add sounds. You just got to remember to turn off the loop track, because then it gets screwed up.
Even he's taunting you. He tasks you.
Yeah, great. More derailing.
No, he's just doing con now.
Of course.
Country Shape Media here. Who has my favorite avatar? My second favorite is Bush McFadden's now, because that's fucking cool. I like that.
Hey, we have Helen
I
Place.
really get a kick out of the fact that it's only because of his being a soldier that John Carter is able to utilize his skills so well.
Well, and the low gravity. He's basically Superman on Mars.
He about knocks himself out a couple of times. It's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Because he can't figure out what's wrong.
Such bad control.
He doesn't realize he's not on Earth right away.
Joe Jusko's art for
yeah, I don't know.
I have a Joe Jusko story, because I know Joe. Okay, when I was first started on Facebook, when somebody goes by a famous person's name, I assume it's a fan. Okay, so I had someone named Joe Jusko say something to me about comic art, because they were commenting on my artwork and with their experience and such. And I said, well, I wish you the best of luck with that, to have a good future career in comics. It's cool that you're using that name and are also an artist. And then he replied back, I am Joe Jusko. And I went, oh, well, then fuck off. I'm in awe. I fall at your feet. I was pretty embarrassed that I kind of I dismissed him a little bit. And I was like, oh, shit. We still follow each other. Ariel, I'm doing pretty good. I had some gut issues today, and I don't know, but I think are related to the I'm taking the double dose of Ozempic. And sometimes I get almost like a little nauseous from it. And I've heard about all the side effects. I know all the potential side effects.
Those are very common side effects. The ones you get.
Well, I'm talking about this. The face sag and all that shit. And
no, that's just for rapid weight loss. That's bullshit.
Ariel, I'm doing fine.
Wait, I was reading that. doing stuff. Got back from Reno.
She's in
Visiting
Reno.
great-grandparents. That's awesome.
I like that.
Reno,
Avatar.
Reno, the little town, the little Vegas.
Is that a Simon Bisley? It's kind of hard to see because it's small, but it kind of looks like a Simon Bisley piece.
It looks like his lighting.
Yeah, I dig it.
I love Simon Bisley's work. He's one of those guys. I love the way he does stencils for a lot of his work, which is what I do. Like Anna was talking to me today, trying to get me to interact with her, and I said, I'm painting. What I was actually doing was stenciling. And stenciling takes focus.
Val is a very big fan of Bisley. Whenever we bring up his work, he really likes his style. Very graphic style.
Fantastic. Oh, that reminds me. I need to find it real quick. I am working on a book cover because it's the only work I take outside of doing my own book. Is working for Dale Dye right now, and I am working on a new book. I don't know. I guess I'll show you the cover art with some of the logo work on it. I designed the logo. It's supposed to look like an old movie poster. And it is based on a real person. So here you go.
Let's have a look. Ooh, that's very nice. I like I really like the value work on the face, but I love the graphic way you did a little black outline and then the little like colored outline around it really pops it against those planes. So nice, really nice.
Yeah, I tried different colors on that because I was like, it's too subdued, because I used a hint of the color in the sky and then boosted it. And I'm like, it doesn't look right. And so I went with more of a gold amber color, and it really popped, and it really makes his eyes stand out.
Is it watercolor and pencils?
It is airbrushing.
It is.
And it's all digital. It's all digital.
Oh,
and
really?
It is.
Oh.
I painted the whole thing from scratch.
It really looks authentically like a
Look
piece
at
on
that,
board.
Gary. He knows.
What?
He knows.
You know exactly who it is.
Done in Evan Alpha.
Yes, this is the story of one of the greatest aces during the campaign in Africa. And the book is called Der Stern
von Afrika.
Africa, yeah. And he was a great pilot, man. Luftwaffe.
Yeah, I love it. It's really nice.
Very proud of it, and I'm waiting to hear from them to see, because it's not just Julie and Dale, because they love my work, but sometimes the authors are picky, and they want a specific thing. So I have to get approval from them. I'm praying, because this was my idea for the cover, and I tend to 98% of the time knock it out of the park with my first idea, because my first idea, I like sticking with my best idea, and I will fiddle around with them in my head, and then I do quick sketches, and I'm like, okay, that's the best one, and I stuck with it, trying to make it look like the movie poster, like the classic, because they did make a movie in the 50s about him, and it was called The Star of Africa.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
What? This one?
Or
this one?
Yeah, I just said that, Gambit.
No, I just got an email. She loves it.
Oh,
but I need to change some of the text.
Okay, well, that shouldn't be a biggie. Genghis Khan loves it too.
You can't send it to him until I fix the text. So as soon as the show's over, I got to go deal with that.
I like that they are using airships in the movie, but I noticed when he's looking up at the moons, those are not Mars accurate moons.
no, they're not.
That is not Phobos.
Nordiness.
I'm working with a guy right now. He's long story that I won't go into, but he's getting independent movies into theaters. But he did this really awesome short film called The Gods of Mars, which was he had spaceships docking in the crater. I forget which moon is which, but one has that huge crater on the end of it. So he used Unreal Engine and he built a whole spaceship docking base within that crater. It looked awesome.
So now you can see a close up of the Messerschmitts. And I tried to emulate one of the ones that he had because I saw 3 different versions of his, planes that he flew, and I went with this one that had the yellow that went over the top of the front of the plane. My perspective is pretty good, but once again, this is hand drawn, so it's not perfect. I wasn't going for perfect. I like my artwork looking like it was hand drawn. So
looks pretty.
But again,
nice
look at those fucking eyes, man. Could you imagine looking cockpit to cockpit about to start a fight with this guy? Going, hey man, I just want to wish you. Oh, fuck those eyes. And his eyes are, I'm going to kill you because I can see very well during the day. So
I love that
the film strip.
Yeah, going back to the film, I love the ape designs because they figured very prominently in the first book. I like how they took a little bit of the, in the book they're described more like apes. I like how they kind of brought a little bit more of an alien aspect into the design.
The guys with the 4 arms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how they did them. Like with people on sticks. That was great. The amount
was that
of
the
work
behind the
that went
scenes?
into this. Yeah, we watched an hour-long documentation. I found it so funny when the guy doing the makeup on her, putting the tattoos on her face, he giggles and says, I'm not used to doing pretty things like this. This is nice. She spent a lot of time in hair and makeup. Jesus. Crazy.
She's the princess.
And she's getting pretty princess.
Absolutely.
Lots of tattoos. And they look gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you an even better close up here. Here you go. As it loads. Ooh, it's going slow. What's going on there? It did not load. Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really weird. It wouldn't let me share the image.
Try again.
I'm not seeing it here in the backstage.
I just told you. There it goes.
They're not great.
So I do highlights. I do really the darkest shadows in order to focus on what I want you to look at on the face. Because I could go in there and draw more lines in his face. But what I find when you do that, it tends to age the character. The more lines you draw in the face and shading, tends to make them look older. So what I do is I go in with brushes. And if you look at that, you can actually see where I go in with, they're almost like, I learned this from Drew Struzan, to go in and do highlights with pencil, colored pencil, white highlights.
Yeah, I noticed the pencil work. That's why I thought it was actual medium outside of digital.
Well, I do it exactly the same way I did it as an actual painting. So that's why people like my artwork. But they'll go, oh, I would like to buy that painting when you're done. I'm like, I can make a print for you for cheap if you want. And they're like, you don't actually paint on? No. Dude, I don't want to fucking do that anymore. That's a lot of fucking work. Majority of your work isn't the artwork. It's the cleaning everything.
I work digital so much. I've been wanting to go back to drawing and painting. I just got new drawing pads and inks at the moment. I got this really cool an animator friend of mine recommended this brush pen, so I'm waiting to try that out. So, Tim's comment, I want to say it'd be more than
this is my brush and pen.
Yeah, I got one of those. I got one.
This is for my tablet, which I'm on right now. I do the show from the tablet side because the screen on my laptop's not as big, harder to read and shit.
And mine doesn't smell funny.
What did he say? Act like I know how or I've streamed before. What was that about, Ariel? Because I didn't know if the image. I'm sorry.
I want to go back to Tim's comment about it because again, yes. Tim is saying that it would be R-rated. I think it'd be much more than that because everybody is naked. Although they have a harness, which I assume is kind of like a little leather, underwear or something like that. But the princess is naked the entire time except for jewelry, and it everyone.
I assume that it also makes John's penis look larger.
It's the gravity.
It's gravity.
There's your obsession again.
Yep. But even the Martians are aware of life on the other planets. They have telescopes that can look, and they laugh at Earth because Earth is the only planet where people wear clothes. And they're like, what are these idiots doing? But it's also very violent.
Try winter on Earth, and then you will understand.
And again, I want to bring up Frank Frazetta did so much artwork, which included for the Mars books and for Tarzan. And it was reading Tarzan that led to me reading Conan, because I saw Frank Frazetta's artwork again, and his artwork made me want to read books.
Yeah, his Mars stuff is as brilliant as his Conan. I don't know. Did Sarah say if he ever read any of the Mars stuff? Because I know she said he didn't really read the Conan stuff. They just gave.
We need to get her on. You and I need to have a show and get her on to talk about Frazetta, the museum, and everything, and talk what she's doing. I love what she's doing.
Yeah, I interviewed her after we were on this show together because
didn't I introduce you to her?
You introduced me to Sarah. Yeah,
that's right.
And she's been just
son of a bitch.
She's just been gangbusters with what she's doing. I've kind of left her alone.
She's recently. So busy. Me too. She is doing so much stuff right now. I'm like, I'm not going to bother her right now because I know what that's like.
I have been showing her some of the stuff I'm doing with Escape from Planet Omega 12, though, because it is heavily Frazetta influenced. And she's very supportive.
Well, you were going to have her in it. You wanted her in it.
Well, I wasn't going to say that on a live stream, but because it's nothing official.
You did say it on a live stream.
Did I?
That you wanted to get her.
I think I said it in the back room.
Look, man, I don't go in the back room with anybody.
Not even with me.
You might have, but either way it goes, I don't think that's like a major fish out of the bag that you're.
I think we said it on live
because she's.
We might have, but I definitely.
She's a Frazetta girl. She looks like the kind of women Frazetta painted, and that's because he had those kind of women in his life.
Well, that was his wife, and then those genes got passed down to her. So absolutely, she's even posed at in recreated Frazetta paintings. She did a.
No, I've seen some of the stuff she did. Yeah.
Yeah, and she.
Really good. Did I tell you we had her mom on with her one time? She popped on. She popped on. And I said, hey, no insult, Sarah, but your mom's really hot and I want to hit on your mom right now.
She is very beautiful as well. They are.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
They come from a great gene pool. But yeah, Sarah is.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sarah,
I'm sorry, guys. Hold on.
He turned into Anima.
I think he.
Now we have
two
animals.
A sign that says on air, but he stopped using it because she doesn't care. She just barges into his room whenever something happens. I hate that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Just yes, Frank Frazetta does love butts.
I like big butts, and I cannot lie. No, she got me lunch. It's really sweet. Get me some General's chicken.
Yeah, the Conan the Barbarian stuff. I
don't think they don't eat these.
I have recently been revisiting all the Conan stories on audio with a great channel that is has a complete series all read called Gates of Imagination. So if you want Conan the Barbarian or a Princess of Mars series of books on audio, just go to the Gates of Imagination YouTube channel.
Oh, wait, that's where I know them from. Yeah, I listen to their audiobooks. I love them.
Yeah, fantastic. They just put it all out there constantly. It's amazing stuff. I'm really grateful for it because I don't have time to read.
Really good Poirot books.
Yeah, I saw those on there too. And they've got Lovecraft. So, they're going to, because I do a lot of commuting, they're going to keep me busy for a while. So, give me a sister, I can't resist her. Red beans and rice ain't his her.
What?
I guess it's rapping.
I guess so. Is it Baby Got Back? I don't know all the lyrics. I just know the anaconda part.
It's got to be. By the way, Mark Strong was one of the actors that was up for Bond.
Really?
Yeah, but then he started going for the bald look, and he started looking more like a villain. And so he's really good at villains.
He could be a Bond villain.
He's so creepy.
Good at everything he does, man.
One thing about this that I'm seeing in this movie is they're still representing Mars as kind of like just this dry, arid landscape that is more accurate to what Mars is really like. But in the books, there's a lot of plant life. It's just, instead of green, it's red. So that's the one thing that I think is really missing from the aesthetic of this movie, is that they're just making Mars look like one big desert. And that's not what it's like in the books. It's, there are arid parts, but there are also like red jungles and fields of red grass and, which again, is kind of, you just see that a lot whenever anyone represents Mars, no matter what it's like in the book. It's like they're afraid to give it anything other than what it is in real life, which is a shame because there's a lot of fertile visual ground to play with. That looks like Grand Canyon.
It does.
There
But it's all filmed in Utah, if I remember that correctly.
Because I grew up in Phoenix, and there's this lake that is fed by a river that looks just like that. They used it in Planet of the Apes.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know the one. And I was very, again, the opening of Escape from Planet Omega 12 is very much influenced by the opening of Planet of the Apes, that same kind of rocky terrain with water everywhere. I make mine a bit more lush with weird shapes and plants, but it's definitely inspired by it. You also have Sedona in Arizona, which I always thought would make a great location for if you wanted to shoot Martian Chronicles, because it's all red rock. I'm sure you've been there.
Oh yeah, I would actually love to see a remake or a readaptation, because I love the miniseries they did, which when I watched it like a really long movie. But the fact is I would love to see another attempt at adapting the Martian Chronicles.
Well,
great book.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because so would I. And I've had connections to Bradbury in the past, so it's on my list of dream things to do, is actually the Martian Chronicles. I don't know if I'd ever get to do it, but it's definitely something I'd aim for. When I've met Ray Bradbury on a number of occasions. I got to work for him, remember, but I went to a signing where I had my copy of the Martian Chronicles, which my dad bought for me at a supermarket when that series was premiering. They did an edition with a photograph of one of the Martians wearing that weird mask. And so, I brought that copy to Ray Bradbury to sign, and I handed it to him, and he goes, "Why the hell do you want me to sign this? This was terrible." I was like, "Well, it's my copy from when I was a kid." He's like, "Oh, okay. All right. That's fine." He's like, But I hated these masks. They look like taffy. We called them the taffy masks. But he wasn't a
I didn't
fan
know
of
that.
it. Yeah. He wasn't a fan of that one. Because in the books, they wore silver masks. And the masks would have different expressions because the Martians would not... they would express their mood by choosing the mask that they wore. So, and they had 6 fingers. And they were short. And they were blonde with coin round eyes that were gold, and their skin was dark, like olive dark, like an Italian. So that there was one story he wrote called Dark They Were with Golden Eyes.
Dark They Were with Golden Eyes.
Yes. He's
I don't
drawing.
think I've read that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Martian stories that didn't make it directly into the Martian Chronicles. They did different editions where they cram more stories into it. And then there's Mars stories in I Sing the Body Electric as well, which is ironically a collection of stories that are not all about AI, but a lot of them are AI centric. And some of them are positive about AI. Like the actual title story, I Sing the Body Electric, is about a robotic grandmother that takes care of a family of children after their mother died. And it's a beautiful story. But it does address, what an AI is and how it could be used positively. And then he did another one called Still Need Black Amazon of Mars film. Was that one of the stories by Burroughs? I don't think I've read that one. I know I haven't read all of them. I got up to a certain point and stopped. They went on to his John Carter's daughter, who also had a romance with a red Martian. It's a beautiful location, though.
Black Amazon of Mars is a science fiction novel by Lee Brackett. I'm sorry for what I just did to that name. Set on planet Mars, featuring
it is Lee Brackett. The name is right. You said it right. Lee Brackett.
Good to know. Featuring the protagonist Eric John Stark. Let me see. What else can I find? The novel was first published under the title Black Amazon of Mars in the pulp magazine Planet Stories in March 1951.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. I know.
By the way, when
Go
I
ahead.
read The Martian Chronicles as a kid, there's a scene when they come there after rocket summer and they show up on Mars, and suddenly there are people from back home. You remember that scene?
Oh yeah. That was
and during the scene. The guy is smoking a pipe when I was reading it, but on the next page, he's smoking a cigar instead of a pipe. And I thought, was that some sort of like continuity error in the writing? And it was the first time I got my mind blown by the fact that somebody had put something in to let you know something's wrong with where they're at. And I caught it. Because the previous page, it's a pipe, and the next page, it's a cigar. And I'm like, oh my God, that was on purpose. That was written that way on purpose. And that blew my mind as a kid.
Yeah, that's a great example of show, don't tell, which a lot of writers these days don't usually heed. But yeah, there's some great... It's like different expeditions go wrong in different weird ways. Like these certain one expedition goes down there and goes to the Martians and goes, "We're here from Earth," and the Martians just think they're insane. And because the Martians can manifest whatever they're mentally thinking on their planet, if you go insane, you manifest your hallucination, so everyone can see what you're hallucinating. So they just assume, oh, these are just Martians that have gone insane and think they're from Earth. So they put them in an asylum.
Yeah, one of my other favorites was actually also used as a Twilight Zone episode, and that's the guy who has a female android to keep him company.
Yeah, in the book, it's a whole family. He gets left behind, so he builds a family for himself, so he's not alone.
Yeah, that's it. And they used a similar premise that he wrote in a Twilight Zone episode that I really, really liked. It's about a guy that's imprisoned on Mars.
Yeah, there's one, I forget what it's called, but there's a guy, he gets left behind. Everyone leaves Mars and goes back to Earth because there's a war on Earth, which never made sense to me, because if there's a war on Earth and you're a Mars colonist, why do you want to go all the way back there to get blown up? But he's so lonely, he starts programming all the phones. He starts making recordings of his voice and programs all the phones to call him, and so he can have conversations with himself. But it becomes a sentient AI and it hates him. So it starts taunting him, doing different voices, going like, hey, I'm in the next town over. I'm a real human. So he'd like drive over there just to meet another human, only to find that it was the AI taunting him.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah. Bradbury did some pretty good horror, some pretty twisted psychological stuff. That one's in I Sing the Body Electric as well. But it's a Mars story, because that's what happens in the Martian Chronicles is they all go back home to join the war, which never really made sense to me, but there were a few people left behind, and they address it in the little wrap up that they do when these astronauts return to Mars to try and pick people up. There's also a story about one guy left on Mars he's completely alone, and then he gets a call and it's a woman. And they keep trying to find each other. And he's so excited to meet this woman. And when he finds her, she's like really overweight and obnoxious. And she doesn't like anything that he wants to do. And she wants to watch movies he doesn't care about and that sort of thing. And then at some point she's like, I'm going to go put something on for you. And he's like, okay. And she comes out and it's a wedding dress. And she's like, what do you think? And he's like, I gotta go. And he just runs and jumps in a car and drives off. So Bradbury had a sense of humor about Mars too. We have not talked very much about this movie. That's
the trademark of this channel.
Really?
It really is, yeah.
John Carter can't believe it himself. He's perplexed. I will check out this movie, though. I can watch it on demand. I've got a whole stack of movies. People keep telling me, you need to watch this. I've been on, there's a YouTube channel, which I recommend all of you subscribe to, called Represent This. Yes. They do movie retrospects, and I got invited on to talk about The Crow. In just short segments. It's all pre-recorded and edited. It's not live streams, but it's a really good channel. He sent me a copy of The Hitcher. I had never seen that. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but he keeps like, you've got to watch this movie. It's brilliant. He did a retrospect on The Hitcher. So that's on my list as well.
It is a good film. I am a fan. Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Thomas
You would like Represent This. It does movie deep dives, and the guy's got a really good perspective on the older movies that we love versus what Hollywood's doing right now. He's on the same page as us. So yeah, definitely check out Represent This. It's a good channel. And tell him Christopher.
I think I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've joined there, but I'll make a comment. So I want to point out, the film is based largely on Princess of Mars, which is the first book, written in 1912. 11 books or novels total to feature the interplanetary hero of John Carter.
Yes, it is a mixture between the first one and the third one, because the Therns, these guys that look like monks, they appear in the third book.
Is that
so going back all the way to Bob Clampett, and if you love animation, you know that name.
Mm-hmm.
And director Bob Clampett approached Edgar Rice Burroughs with the idea of adapting A Princess of Mars into a feature-length animated movie. Burroughs responded enthusiastically, recognizing that a regular live action feature film would face various limitations to adapt accurately. So he advised Clampett to write an original animated adventure for John Carter. Working with Burroughs' son, John Coleman Burroughs, in 1935, Clampett used rotoscope and other hand-drawn techniques to capture the action, tracing the motions of an athlete who performed John Carter's powerful movements in reduced Martian gravity, and designed the green-skinned four-armed Tharks, is what they're
Tharks,
called.
that's it.
Tharks, to give
Please
them a
try.
believable appearance. He then produced footage of them riding their eight-legged thoats at a full gallop, which had all of the 8 legs moving in coordinated motion. He also produced footage of a fleet of rocket ships emerging from the Martian volcano. MGM was originally set to release the cartoon, and the studio heads were enthusiastic about the series. The test footage was produced by 1936, received negative reactions from film exhibitors across the country, especially in small towns. Many gave their opinion that the concept of an Earthman on Mars was just too outlandish an idea in a Midwestern American audiences to even consider accepting. The series was not given the go-ahead, and Clampett was instead encouraged to produce an animated Tarzan series, an offer that he later declined. Clampett recognized the irony in MGM's decision, as the Flash Gordon movie serials, released the same year by Universal Studios, was highly successful. He speculated that MGM believed that serials were played on only for the children during Saturday matinees, whereas the John Carter tales were intended to be seen by an adult audience during the evening. The footage that Clampett produced was believed lost for many years until Burroughs' grandson, Danton Burroughs, in early 1970s, found some of the film tests in the archives. And Princess of Mars has been released. It might have preceded Walt Disney's Snow White and Seven Dwarfs to become the first American feature-length animated movie.
I gotta find that footage. I didn't know about this.
Yeah. Now, during the 50s, Disney got involved, Walt himself, and he wanted to do stop-motion animation effects under director Ray Harryhausen, who expressed interest in filming the Burroughs novels. But it was not until the 1980s that producers Mario Kassar and Andrew Vajna bought the rights for the Walt Disney Studios via Synergy Pictures, with a view to creating a competitor to the Star Wars trilogy, as well as the Conan books. Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio were hired to write, while John McTiernan and Tom Cruise were approached to direct and star. Yeah. The project collapsed because McTiernan realized that visual effects were not yet advanced enough to recreate Burroughs' vision of Barsoom. The project remained at Disney, and Jeffrey Katzenberg was a strong proponent of making the books into film, but the rights eventually returned to the Burroughs estate. Paramount tried to do it with James Jack and Harry Knowles' autobiography, which lavishly praised John Carter of Mars series. Having read the Burroughs novels as a child, Jacks was moved to convince Paramount to acquire the rights in a bidding war with Columbia Pictures. After Paramount and Jacks won the rights, Jacks contacted Knowles to become an advisor on the project and hired Mark Protosevich, I don't know how to say that guy's name, to write the screenplay, and Robert Rodriguez signed on to direct the film in 2004.
Of course.
Yeah. And his friend Knowles showed him the script. Recognizing that Knowles had been an advisor to many other filmmakers, Rodriguez asked him to be credited as a producer. Filming was set to begin in 2005, with Rodriguez planning to use the all-digital stages he was using for his production of Sin City, a film based on the graphic novel series of Frank Miller, which everybody fucking knows. Rodriguez planned to hire Frank Frazetta, the popular Burroughs and fantasy illustrator, as a designer on the film. And at this point, he was painting left-handed now because of his stroke. So anyway, Rodriguez had previously stirred up film industry controversy owing to his decision to credit Sin City's artist creator Miller as the co-director of the film adaptation. As a result, Rodriguez decided to resign from the Directors Guild of America, the DGA. Then in 2004, unable to employ a non-DGA filmmaker, Paramount assigned Kerry Conran to direct and Aaron Kruger to rewrite John Carter's script. The Australian outback was scouted as a shooting location, which gets really beautiful there in their deserts. Conrad left the film for unknown reasons and was replaced in 2005 by Jon Favreau. And I watched Jon Favreau talk about this. And Favreau and screenwriter Mark Fergus wanted to make their script faithful to Burroughs' novels, retaining John Carter's links to the Civil War and ensuring that Barsoomian Tharks were 15 feet tall. Previous scripts had made them human-sized. Favreau argued that a modern-day soldier would not know how to fence or ride a horse like Carter, who had been a Confederate officer. The first film he envisioned would have adapted the first three novels of the Barsoom series, Princess of Mars, The Gods of Mars, and Warlord of Mars. Unlike Rodriguez and Conran, Favreau preferred using practical effects for this film and cited Planet of the Apes as the inspiration. He intended to use makeup as well as CGI to recreate the Tharks. The August 2006 Paramount chose to renew the film rights, preferred instead to focus on the Star Trek franchise. Favreau and Fergus moved on to Marvel Studios and making Iron Man. And then it came back to Disney. And that's where Andrew Stanton got involved. Director of the Pixar Animation Studios, hits Finding Nemo and WALL-E. He lobbied Walt Disney Studios to reacquire the rights to Burroughs' estate since he said, "I'd read the books as a kid. I wanted to see somebody put it to screen," end quote. Stanton then lobbied Disney heavily for the chance. And this is what I love, is it is an actual fan of the books that made this movie.
How can you not be a fan of the books? I mean, you know, it's such a great property. It's such.
Well,
I mean,
he pitched it as an Indiana Jones type film, but he's on Mars. The studio was initially skeptical. Stanton had never directed a live action film before, and he wanted to make the film without any major stars whose names could guarantee an audience, at least on opening weekend. The screenplay was seen as confusing and difficult to follow. However, since Stanton had overcome similar pre-production doubts to make WALL-E and Finding Nemo into hits, the studio approved him as the director. Stanton noted he was effectively being loaned to Walt Disney Pictures because Pixar is an all-ages brand, and John Carter, in his words, was not going to be an all-ages film. So, in other words, it would be directed at kids up into their teens.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
No, I was just going to say, this is the thing about both Conan and the Princess of Mars books, the Mars books, is, you know, when you read them, they are so over the top in terms of, you know, there's hot naked women all over the place. There are people being gutted and beheaded constantly, piles of body, blood, soaked swords. You know, if you really want to get at the heart of what makes those pulp novels so exciting, we're in an age now where, you know, Hollywood can't make that movie. They'll never be able to satisfy the fans, and the people who aren't fans are never truly going to get it. So you need to get, you know, what's going on right now. And like I said, I've been deep into the indie film sphere. There's a lot going on that is going to be directly competing with Hollywood at Hollywood's level of quality. And that's because of AI. People are going to be able to use AI to recreate these stories. Of course, they don't have the rights. The rights are the public domain aspect of it is all up in the air and weird. The estate still is suing people over stuff, but you can, on a reasonable budget now, make these movies and have all that stuff. The audience for it is going to be limited, But I guarantee you, if people had the guts to really do them in that way, people would be talking about them for sure, if not just for the shock value. But again, it's like, come for the shock value, stay for the story. I think on demand stories like this on VOD, they could have a real life and they could be done. And I wouldn't even count out the theatrical, because there are things going on with theatrical and independent filmmaking right now that I am going to be talking about and writing about very soon. Hollywood is washed up. I mean, seriously washed up. And if there are people, and I count myself among them, who have the guts to do stories like this and really put that kind of thing on the screen, it's going to turn some heads. And I think there's going to be an audience for it, because if there's one thing that aside from Hollywood not being able to tell good stories or understanding what a good story is anymore, they're kind of gutless. They really don't have anything to offer anymore that is anything to get excited about. And ironically, things like A Princess of Mars and Conan do have that. These are 100-year-old properties, but they do have that, and they could be done. So, it's
yeah. And one of the words I use for them is I consider most of the executives making decisions for the creative in Hollywood are feckless kind of people.
Absolutely. They have no courage at all, no creative insight. They just, was it Chris Gore was pointing out that someone at Netflix they were making a movie for Netflix, and Netflix came to him with the algorithm. They ran his script through the algorithm and said, it needs more of this. And it was something stupid like segways or something, like hoverboards, like put hoverboards in your movie and it'll have this much more of a percentage of boost. It's like, what's the point of something like that? There's no artistic intent in that. And he said, but it worked. I put the hoverboards in. I'm just saying hoverboards. It might not have been hoverboards. I put the hoverboards in and yeah, it was more successful. I'm like, yeah, on a spreadsheet for a VOD company that doesn't have to look at box office numbers, they're lumping it in with all their other properties. Okay, great. Hoverboards got you a little more views, but still no one's heard of your movie, A. And B, what happens with that algorithm is, it's like another example is true crime. It's like, oh, true crime is popular, so we got to pump out more and more true crime. Well, you just keep getting the same show over and over again, and then everyone's sick of true crime, just like everyone's sick of Star Trek. Everyone's sick of Star Wars, because it's all built by an algorithm, and the algorithm just spits out what they think an audience wants, and maybe that works for a little bit. But after a while, the audience is bored with it because they've had it. It's like eating too much of something you like. You're like, yeah, I love eating this thing, but now I've had it for 10 nights in a row. I can't look at it anymore. And so there's no reason for them to make these movies beyond what the algorithm says. And so the audience, it's like, there's that saying, oh, who asked for this movie? It's like, well, nobody asked for the movie because nobody knows to ask for that movie. That's why
you've heard me criticize people when they do that on social media. Nobody asked for this movie. Well, nobody asked for Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
They want you as an artist want to bring them something and go, hey, here's something I did that is different than anything you're watching right now. Everybody I know that's ever been successful at anything says, if you want to be successful, look at the direction everyone's going and go the other way. Hollywood will never do that. Hollywood will never say, hey, why don't we make a movie on a lower budget that's not going to have the worldwide appeal, but it'll still have enough appeal to make this profitable. And maybe if we do it well, word of mouth will spread and it'll become super popular anyway, which is exactly what happened with Lucas and Star Wars. Nobody believed in that movie. No one understood it, but Lucas did. And once the audience saw it, they wanted more of that. And that's another example of, in the 80s, there were all these Star Wars knockoffs. Roger Corman famously did that. There was Forbidden Zone and Galaxy Beyond, or was it Battle Beyond the Stars and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And even then, even though it was knockoffs and it started to reach oversaturation, it was that stuff was at least still fun. Because it was, the people making it were still like, well, let's make this as good as we can on our budget. And that had a spirit to it. But this is all just bean counters with no testosterone or willingness to take any chance.
Creative endeavors are ruined by bean counters. And it's like they should never be allowed around talent. And it's the thing that pisses me off. If you remember at the beginning of The Player, did you ever watch that movie?
Guys? Yes, we have a super chat from Chanovsky. $4.99. Thank you very much, Shen. Says Channel Rec Feral Historian. He goes into tons of topics like how the Star Trek economy might work, the historic echoes of Star Wars, plus more. Interesting. Thank you very much.
There will always be money. There will always be money. Because there will always be an exchange no matter what. But I do like that. I could just do with them having finished the script before the start of production.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting into that. Let me get back to this. So so I told you that it was not going to be an all ages film that's going to be directed at kids and teens. So by 2008, the first draft of Part 1 of John Carter film trilogy was completed. The first film was based only on the first novel. Stanton and his Pixar colleague Mark Andrews wrote this draft in April of 2009. Author Mike Chabon confirmed he had been hired to revise Stanton and Andrews' script. Quote, "I'm really good at structure and collaborating," end quote, Stanton explained. And he continued, "But Michaels is just technically, poetically, and intelligence-wise, a far better writer," end quote. So he had trouble fixing what was already written. It was that good. So following the completion of WALL-E, Stanton revisited the archives of Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated in Tarzana, California, as part of his research. Jim Morris, general manager of Pixar, said the film would make a unique look distinct from Frank Frazetta's illustrations, which they both found dated. And they are. So he also noted that although he had less time for pre-production than for any of his novels as a child, of his usual animated projects, the task was nevertheless relatively easy because he had read Burroughs' novels as a child and already visualized many of their scenes. Stanton prepared for directing, because that's one thing you've got to have. You have to have vision. You have to be able to see what you're reading in your head if you want to make it into a film. And I think he did a really good job of translating that. So following that, let's see where I leave off. Relatively easy since he read all the books as a child. Stanton prepared for directing by losing 20 pounds, running 15 miles a week, and vowed not to go to his trailer or sit down except when absolutely necessary to avoid looking like the, quote, a privileged animation geek who cheated his way to the top, end quote. And I think their casting choices were fantastic. I love that Taylor Kitsch was brought in. And this movie derailed his career. You know that, right? Because they did not release this film correctly. It fucked his career. He just sort of disappeared after this movie. You only saw him in spotty parts. And I don't know if he's yet really fully recovered from it. And I think he's a far better actor than he's been treated. You've got a great cast. You got James Purfoy, Bryan Cranston, Tyrion Hines, Dominic West, Mark fucking Strong, Thomas Hayden Church, for God's sakes. I love that guy. Willem Dafoe, Samantha Morton, Lynn Collins, and then, of course, Taylor Kitsch. And the worst actor in the film is Daryl Sabara as Edgar Rice Burroughs.
And with that, I apologize, but I got to get going. But was
That's
really
okay. We're getting close to the end.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of fun. I don't get to drop in often. It was a slow work day, so I managed to do this, and it was fun talking about this. But I'll try and be back. I've got a lot of things I'm working on coming up, so I want to be able to share those with you. Horror movie stuff, sci-fi movie stuff, and like I said, there's some big stuff happening in the independent sphere that is going to knock Hollywood on its ass if it turns out the way I think. So that's going to be really interesting, and I think I'm going to get to be one of the people to break it, thanks to Film Threat. But I'm going to definitely keep you guys in the loop and be back to let you know. So
they're a moderately good magazine. I tease. I've been reading Film Threat since the 90s because Josh used to write for him, and I've got that long relationship with him. And it's because of him I started reading Film Threat. And I really like the magazine. And I consider it the one true cinema magazine.
I think it's the one true website that truly cares about movies and independent film.
And not about politics.
And not about politics
in films.
And they haven't sold out. Thanks, Anima. It's always nice to be here. Yeah, they haven't sold out because all the other websites, they went and they got bought up by some group. And
Variety is the worst. They are so fucking owned by the studio system. It's just ridiculous.
I do have some inside information that there are some. I mean, I don't know a lot about who's at Variety. I understand that they work with that. And thanks, D-Bud, for plugging those. There are some good people at Variety, though. And I have, there are people that are in contact with some of the independent filmmakers. And I think even Variety is seeing that they're going to have to change. There's a sea change about to happen, but I got to go. I will come back and fill you guys in. You guys were the first. Excuse me. Yeah, you guys were the first to embrace me and have me on. So I'm always going to remember that.
Friend. So.
Of course, you guys are all. I love you guys. I really do. That's why I keep coming back. Is I wouldn't be coming back if I didn't think you were all fantastic. So, thanks. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and yeah.
And I'm friends with Chris Gore too, and it's like I love him. I love Chris Gore. I love Andy. Really good dude. Andy Nunn.
I don't know Andy, but I gotta say I am very grateful to Chris Gore for giving me a platform because he was reading my Substack and he contacted me. He said, "These articles are great. Why don't you write for us?" And I went, then I was like, okay, yes.
Yeah, it's like dead silence. And you go, is that a real question? Did you just ask me that?
I was
okay.
I was blown away. I said, whatever the deal is, I'll do it because what a great opportunity. Both Chris and Alan Ng are fantastic. And I'm very grateful to them as I am grateful to you guys. But I really got to go. So again, have a great weekend and see you next Tuesday.
All right, everybody.
See you, Chris.
Chris from Moonlight Productions. Thanks for dropping in, Chris. We love him. I love him. He's a good friend of mine. And yes, Ned is the one who figures out how to get into his mausoleum. And yes, the very last thing, he gets sent back to Earth.
Now,
so that was to lead into the next film.
I have some questions. For example, when he gets back to Earth, he has been on Mars for like what, 4 or 5 days, but then the other guy is already a skeleton, a desiccated skeleton like that. So how does time? Is there a time difference? How does time work here? Does he appear 13 years later on Mars, or did he appear almost instantly after leaving? Those are the questions that have bothered me. with this movie. But apart from that, now in the books, he the there's this apparent time variation does not exist. Now I don't know how they were planning to do it here.
What do you
Because
mean
there
time?
was a plan. That's the thing that bothers me more. That there was a plan for 3 connected stories.
What do you mean time?
Yeah, because 4 days in Mars, uh, were in on Earth happened. Oh my God! Wait,
It's
I
there's no time dilation. There's what you're talking about is the revolving on its axis. So yeah, it's. But are you
no.
saying that there was time dilation
What I'm
caused
talking
by
is
that?
when he gets back to Earth. Okay, when he gets back, the guy who he with whom he was in the cave is a skeleton. So how much time did transfer on Earth while he was for 4 days on Mars?
I mean, a day on Mars is really close to an Earth solar day.
Yeah. I understand that. That is why that guy couldn't have been a skeleton at this point. It should have been a bloated corpse.
Yeah, a Martian year is 1.88 of Earth years. So it's faster just by a little bit. What we also discovered is because of the lower gravity, you age slightly slower. Because gravity is what causes you to age. And gravity impacts time. But people don't know that. That's where you'll see some time dilation is due to gravity. Gravitons. So, as far as that goes in the film series, I don't know. I'm assuming that it was the same period of time passed on Earth, and the body just became decrepit while it laid there unused, unfed.
In 4 days?
And I really, forever how long he was there, I don't know. I don't understand their time difference. So you're asking me a question I don't know the answer to. I don't think anybody does with the film. So, is there more comments? The pacing could have condensed by 30. Oh, no. Yeah. What I think you mean is condensed with less 39 minutes. 39 minutes less, which I wouldn't have been bothered by. But I got to be honest, I enjoyed the film. I did not sit there at one point going, man, I got to go do something. I was really enthralled with the film. I've seen it now 6 times, and I still enjoy it. And I enjoyed Anima getting to enjoy the film. And I'm sorry she lost connection. StreamYard being a fucking asshole kicked her. So she couldn't stay for the whole thing. And I really wanted to give her input on what she thought of the film, her first time reaction. And I'm hoping it makes her want to read the books. Because to me, that's one of the most important things that films do when they're adapted from a book is to drive an audience towards the books too. So Tim is here. Did you play his video?
No, because you have. Okay, but I will. There you go.
There's some pictures of civilian casualties.
Fuck you, Tim.
There you go. But I really did enjoy the making of this film. It fell apart in the marketing. This film would have done better with proper marketing. And it broke our hearts. I remember Keith and I both were just very devastated by what Disney did.
We have Sachs here. So
Shut the fuck up, Kyle!
And he agrees. This is a underrated film, not given the love it deserves. It should have been a big moneymaker that year. Bob Iger wanted to buy Lucasfilms or Star Wars. So I just think it was a fuck up all around by Disney. This had some great promotions before the movie came out.
I mean,
They needed trailers coming out going, what was popular then in 2012? Because I don't think Rotten Tomatoes was big yet. Well, from what I understand, on Mars, his body on Earth will age, but he won't on Mars. Yeah, I know. Iger is a fucking asshole that screwed up so much shit. He bought Star Wars. The same reason he bought Marvel was because Disney had done its due diligent research and found that they were losing the male audience between age 12 and 14. Just gone. The female audience was staying. So what they wanted to do was to buy intellectual properties that attracted boys and men. So they bought Marvel and they bought Star Wars, and then turned right around and completely did the opposite of why they bought them.
They tried to make them female properties.
Yeah. All focused on the princesses. And then, no, we don't want to call them princesses anymore. We got to make them strong women. It's like, well, make her a strong character. Focus on character. Character is important. Don't give her fake strength, because that's a big turnoff in female characters in film. It's why if I see a poster and it has a female-centric character on the poster, this guy is probably not going to watch it. I've learned to watch the posters, pay attention, because the posters for TV shows and movies tell you everything. When I saw the poster for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I saw a majority of the characters in that big lineup image were female, and they had only 2 males, both of them not in heroic poses. There was a couple of females in heroic action poses, not Captain Pike or Spock. And I think the Doctor, so 3. I think Dr. whatever his fucking name is, who is not the Doctor of the Enterprise. So I knew it was going to be bad. And then I watched the pilot episode of Strange New Worlds, and Spock and Pike come off the turbo lift onto the bridge, and every single person on that bridge was female. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch this show. I'm not going to like it. I still like 2 episodes of that season, but that was it. I thought the writing was just garbage. Yeah, you look at who's involved, and that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's the big thing now, right there, is buy the IP with a built-in audience, and then let's alienate them and blame them for the failure when we alienate them. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to watch it. Mabenga. He was the Doctor on Strange New Worlds, but he was not the Enterprise Doctor. The Doctor before him was the Doctor you see in the show. And he was close friends with Pike. Well, John Boyega's an idiot. a gifted, talented idiot, but he's an idiot nonetheless. I don't give a shit what he has to say. You just have to write some people off and not pay attention to them. It's like, oh, that guy's talking again. Whatever. Moving on. No, I tried to watch the first episode, and it was fucking awful. They had the guys doing shit nobody would ever do. Her character makes no sense. Nobody would select her. Nobody. She would be drummed out of the fucking military. She would absolutely probably not survive in the military and get Article 15'd out. She was a useless fucking soldier. She had no strength. They made her look like she could throw these punches and shit. And it's like, one, you have no weight behind them and you have no power. You have no musculature. She's skinny. She's scrawny. And at the best, she could be wiry. It was just terrible. And the special forces guys, the way they acted in that first fight scene is so stupid. And I remember another channel, military channel, they watched that first episode and just tore it apart. And I'm like, and they said everything that I said. And one was a ranger, and I think the other guy was a Green Beret. Going, yeah, we would never do that. No, that's stupid. And they made fun of her trying to do her chin-ups. And you got a Marine DI, and she's not even in training, by the way. I don't know what the fuck that was. I've never heard of it, where you can maybe pre-test to be if you can be in the Marines. And she's fucking already doing the one thing no senior NCO wants, acting like an individual. That if you get called an individual in the Marine Corps or the Army, that is not a compliment. It's an insult, telling you you're shit. You're worthless, and you're going to get somebody killed because you're an individual. Oh, I don't doubt again, but I just assume it's going to be garbage. It's Kurtzman. It's garbage. Absolutely classic comics. Good to see you, buddy. It was really good. Anima, I'm sorry she's not here. She got kicked by StreamYard. She's in the chat. She loved this movie. I love this movie. Keith, who I wanted to be here today, couldn't get a hold of him, loves this movie. And he and I have talked ad nauseum about the betrayal by Disney and Bob Iger as that led to the failure of this film. And it's the only reason why, because this is a very good film. It's not a perfect movie, but it is a very good movie. Tim Riggins. Hi, John Schlitt. By the way, Schlitt, your family makes a great beer. Schlitz. It's piss water, but as far as piss water goes, I drank it a lot in college. Yeah, the ending is very emotional. It's a great ending where he ends up back on Earth. That fucking godlike entity fucked with him and sent him back. Absolutely piss water. Coors is the best of the piss water beers. But it's piss water. Anima and I, and since I was 13, man, I've been a Guinness man. Because when I was 13, I got to go into an Irish pub, and they said if I was tall enough to belly up to the bar, I was old enough to drink. And I sat there with all my best friends, and we drank Guinness. I drank a pint, and I got a little drunk on that because it was like 11.5% alcohol.
Yes, Tim, the rights to John Carter reverted to the Burroughs state. So
yep,
we only need very
at this point with the
company.
advancements made in CG and motion capture, with the advancements made with a mixture of live and shooting on the round, Absolutely, you can make this film for less than probably about half of what they made this film for. And again, get good actors, no big names. And we could see it come back. My bet is the best way to bring John Carter is as an ongoing miniseries and adapt each book for each season. Thoughts? Anybody? Martin? Yes, Snort. Yes, Snort. Right there. I've got a limey friend who served in the British military in Northern Ireland, made a mistake going into an Irish pub and ordering black and tan. Shit you not. He was ignorant of history. And he's so lucky that that was not a radical fucking bar that night or pub. Personally, I like an Irish car bomb. It's great. You know what it is?
No, I know you. I know it's not literally. Man, that's a name there.
Let's see if I can find it for you here. So, well, I'll go to Wikipedia because they actually there's a Wikipedia dedicated to this. It's a cocktail, and Irish car bomb. I had people convinced in bars in college that I was going to inherit the Schlitz beer empire. I even had a story about how my great grandfathers fought over the recipe for the piss water beer. That's great. I like that. All right, here you go. I don't know if we'll get in trouble for this, but I don't care. YouTube doesn't like us anyway. Before printing the screen, what do I got to do?
What?
I don't know why it made me do that. All right, so there it is. It is a shot. It's similar to a Boilermaker. You take a shot of whiskey, Jameson's Bushmill Black is my preferred one, and you drop it into a half-filled glass of Guinness, pint glass. And boom, baby.
I prefer calling it the Dublin drop.
It's very good. It is very good. Although in this one, I don't like this. I'm not a big fan of Bailey's Irish Cream. The traditional way to do it is you take a shot of whiskey and drop it into your pint of Guinness, and then you drink it very quickly. Oh, that's good stuff too, right there. I like a good Irish whiskey. That's cool, sweetheart. Guinness is yummy. They always refer to it as meal in a can. No, yeah, and I agree, Tetrarch, and that's why I think, it's kind of wanting everybody's opinion, including you, Martin. I think it would make a great series, and I think each season should be adapting a single book.
One book, yeah. But it should be 3, maximum 4 episodes per season.
Here's my feeling about Jaeger. I don't like it. I didn't like the drunk I got off of it, and I didn't like the flavor. I don't even refer to the seed as the way most people pronounce it. It's a mouthful of anus, is what I call it. I hate fucking Jaeger. And I've had a Jaeger bomb. And I'm telling you, I got so fucking drunk one night and high that I was seeing shit.
You're talking about
Jägermeister? I thought Jägermeister, yeah.
I love it.
It's like licorice. It's like black licorice.
I freaking love it, man. And let me tell you,
No,
I
thanks.
wouldn't survive a Mexican winter, which is cold that you have no idea, without a bottle of Jägermeister. 2 shots and you're good to go.
This is why we're perfect mates. Jägermeister is disgusting. Yeah, cough syrup. That's what it tastes like. It tastes like medicine. It doesn't taste like a drink. And I just can't stand it. I'm not a big fan of schnapps either. But I got some peach schnapps one night, and I got chocolate shot glasses. And you basically eat it like a bonbon. You down it and you eat it. And that made peach schnapps palatable. It was actually pretty good. Oh my God, that's one of the things that I've talked about with Don Ecker, and the other drink that he likes a lot is Slipovitz. That's his preferred drink, which Anima told him is basically in Croatia. That's like you can make it at home. It's like. I don't think I've ever had Baron Jaeger. Wait, no, I have had that. And it wasn't so bad because here's what we did. Ultra
Sambuca.
When I was 39. I was turned 39 for my 39th birthday. Ultra Rob bought me a bottle of that. And I put it in the freezer to save for the party. And then we ended up making it into a mixed drink. And I got to tell you, that hint of honey in it really, really was good. It surprised me because I just assumed, oh, it's going to be garbage. And it was actually good. You can make it at home here too. It's pretty much made of sloe gin. And I, for one, am not a fan of gin or vermouth. Now, Ouzo is the one I've had with Greek food. I've never had Retsina. But I'm assuming that if it's Greek, it's got to be good. Now, a lot of people misunderstand that rice wine is actually not wine. It's actually fermented beer. It's a beer, which it just doesn't have any of the bubbles. And I do like it. I like it. Yeah, don't send me any gin. No, Tim. No, don't send me gin. I won't drink it. I like it. I'm not a big drinker to begin with, but there is something that I've always loved about an occasional shot of either Jameson's, Bushmills, or specifically Bushmill Black. And I consider Bushmill Black the best whiskey I've ever drank. It's the smoothest whiskey I've ever drank. Graham Nolan and I got into an argument about this. I said, no, Jameson doesn't come close. Sorry. The only thing that came even remotely close to it was an American bourbon. It was single barrel Jack Daniels. I got fucked up one night on that. Pretty much drank the whole fucking bottle by myself. I've never had that. It sounds like something from Star Trek. Oh, wait, what is this, honey? What did you say? They make all kinds of schnapps at home in Croatia, not just Slivovic, which is made from plums. Distilling from, I'd love that. That sounds good. Oh my God, cherries, walnuts, and figs. Oh my. That sounds yummy. I love figs. I remember a friend of mine from Cambodia was doing some like really strange shopping in a foreign market, and brought Zoe and me a container of figs and dates. And it took us a month, but we finished up that little container. It looked like one of those things you get at a deli, full of something, little container. And like it's about a quart size, I think, quart size. And we finished it. It took us a little over a month, I think. And those things are yummy, man. Dates, figs, Iraq, Uso, and Raki or Rakai are the same thing. Just one is Arab, one. Oh, it's sort of like the gyro is called a kebab or a doner kebab. It's still the same food, same meat. Tastes gross. Some things can get too sweet and thick. I don't want to drink any kind of liqueur that's thick. It's gross. Oh, and by the way, with that Baron Jaeger, we actually had it in the freezer before serving it. Sat in the freezer for like 15 days. So that thing was fucking cold. It came out slow. Oh, it was great. I like eating kebabs with lots of salad. My preferred way of eating kebabs, doner kebabs, or gyros is with the. I can't have the onions anymore; they make me sick to my stomach. But I love them with tomatoes, no lettuce. That's weird. Extra lamb and beef slices, and a lot of the Greek sauce called tzatziki sauce. I think is the way it's pronounced. And man, shit's good. My first gyro was when I was 13 in London, but it was called the doner kebab. And I always tell people, I said, I lived off of doner kebabs, steak and kidney pies, or peanuts and Coke. Because any chance I got to eat any of those, I would fucking do it. Yes, they are. They're the same thing as gyros.
Well,
yeah, it is so yummy. It's Greek yogurt with cucumber in it and garlic and onion. And I can't remember what else in it, but I remember that's in it. My preferred way of eating a doner kebab is the one that doesn't put me in Landstuhl Army Hospital after. You got to be careful overseas, man. Did you guys ever see that report? I think it was on 60 Minutes, but it might have been 48 Hours, where they did a story about people going blind in England from properly stored kebab meat. No shit. It's got a little bit of olive oil in there. Yeah, okay. All I know is it's one of the most delicious sauces I've ever had on a sandwich. I love the way they prepare the meat. It's just really good, slow cooked. Making me want to have a gyro or a kebab right now. Well, I've had it because we have a Turkish restaurant here in town. Oddly, they call it a gyro only because people in this area probably wouldn't know what the fucking kebab was. But they serve it here, and it is so good. I'm not going to argue with you. The Turkish family that owns that restaurant here in Springfield is they're amazing. The restaurant is called Ziggy's, and they did have a chain, but the only one owned by the family was the main one that's still here. The rest of them went out of business over time, and because they just didn't have the quality of food that the main restaurant had, and it was just amazing. I love that restaurant, and it's still there, and I will still go to it any chance I get in Springfield. I'm telling you right now, Anima's going to go there with me. She won't get the meat, but she can enjoy the rest of it with the yogurt.
Good.
Yep. Yeah, you guys are talking about food, and we got to get the hell out of here. It's already a half hour over. So if I was allowed to, I'd just hang out with you guys all fucking day. But I have to finish a book tonight, book cover. Plus, I need to get another page done today. from Vindicated. If you ever in DC area eat at Moby Dick's House of Kebab, that it was not there when I lived there. So a local Persian chain that Iranians consider better than the upscale restaurants. I wouldn't be surprised. I like the name. That's fucking Moby Dick's House of Kebabs. That's great. Aldi's has Euro kits. Yes, they do. In fact, Walmart occasionally has them in the frozen food section, which you get the meat, the pita bread, and the sauce, but you have to add, because you can't freeze vegetables like that, tomatoes, and you do onions, but you can't do that with tomatoes. I have to go sleep right now. Gambit, yes, you guys have a great evening. But take care, all of you. You too, guys. Everybody have a great one. Thanks for hanging out with us, talking about this movie. This is a much beloved film in this house. This is a great movie. I love John Carter. And I'm so pissed that Disney fucked that up. But it doesn't mean it's not a great film. It is. Yes, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about the other great Disney movie that I love, is The Rocketeer. So God bless you guys. Have a great evening. I want to thank everybody for being here. Let's start with Gambit, Snorty, Penny, Eastland Burkholder, Joe's Atmosphere, Read by Nature, Das Wolfen, Christian DeLorme's Vinyl Revival, 11 Alpha, Coming with the Knowledge. All you guys come with the knowledge, but I love 11 Alpha. I'll be talking about something. He knows what I'm talking about. I love that. D. Bud Martin, the hardest working wrench in the business. I'm telling you right now. And we are so grateful for all you mods, but very much grateful to D. Bud Martin. Andreas Walsh. I like that first name, Andreas. That's a great name. Tetrarch of Apathy. Sander Hammerschlag. Country Shape Media, who is my favorite avatar. Ariel Billette, it's always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Genghis Khan. Tim Olson. Vinkman's Girl. And FKC 2005, also known as Tim, and John Schlitt, Classic Comics. Always good to see you guys. Always good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. We are Auf Wiedersehen. We are going to fuck off now and go do some other stuff. Everybody have a great Friday. Don't forget, John will be here later to get his ass handed to him by another video game. And then tomorrow we will be talking about The Rocketeer. So see you guys tomorrow. Go on then, mate. Well, it's Steve Martin. I wish you were going to be here, man.